What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by the lovely Michelle, also a fellow YouTuber, and it's actually crazy because we have like the exact same life story. She met a Swedish guy, moved to Sweden. I met a Swedish girl, moved to Sweden. We both broke up with our exes. Somehow we still liked Sweden enough to stay here and enjoy this lovely country, and now we're still here doing our thing. She's making YouTube videos on her channel in Spanish, which is like very similar to the content that I'm creating.
It's crazy, actually, yeah.
And like when we started talking and like explaining our stories, I was like, holy crap, this is like, it's like freaky how much we have in common. But we got to thinking about Swedish culture and ways that Sweden has changed us.
Exactly.
Because we've both been here for quite some time now. I've been here for over 2 years, and you've been here for a little longer?
For 3 years now.
For 3 years.
3 years.
And so that's a long time, and that means that this great country of Sweden has had a little bit of an impact on who we are. She's coming from the Mexican background, and I'm coming from U.S. So both being North American, the cultures where we come from are quite a bit different in a lot of ways from the Swedish culture. So I think that we need to get right into this and explain some of the key ways that we think Sweden has actually changed us. The first way that I think Sweden has changed me is that I think I talk to strangers a little bit less now that I've been living in Sweden. And I think this has to do with a lot of reasons. For one thing, Swedes are a little bit more reserved in general, and I've talked about this a lot on the channel versus people in North America. They're much more outgoing, I think, and much more likely to start those conversations with people that they don't necessarily know. And I think one reason that I myself have even become a little bit more reserved is that the eye contact. It all has to do with eye contact. Like, for example, if I'm standing in the elevator in Sweden, like if you're in another country, you're like gonna acknowledge the presence and like make eye contact, and when you lock eyes with somebody, it really opens it up to like actually start a conversation with that person. But people are much more shy about the eye contact here, which I think makes it much harder to start those conversations. Where I feel like when I'm in America, I am much more naturally outgoing because I'm always making eye contact and seeing the people around me.
True. And it's the same actually, like in Mexico, we're just like really friendly and we're like talking to strangers also. It's just like, it happens just so naturally, you know? And here, I feel that it's kind of a little bit like more difficult to get that kind of like eye contact as well. Yeah, exactly. In elevators, I just say, it's like, what? Like if you're looking to someone, it's just like, they just skip it.
Totally. And I noticed that like, in the beginning, it was one of the things that was most shocking to me when I came to Sweden, how reserved, like, I remember when I would be, like, going for runs and stuff and, like, waving at people and, like, everybody would be like, who the hell is this guy, like, going out of his way to, like, say hi? And now I've just become so accustomed to the culture that it's just more natural for me to also be reserved. So I'm curious, like, if I go back to America or, like, visit these other places, if I'm just going to snap into being, like, outgoing again, or if Sweden has actually changed me as a person. I think that's actually really interesting.
And that happened to me, for example, because now, for example, I feel that after living here for 3 years now, I think I appreciate more my personal space. Like, for example, that happened like when I go to Mexico. Now I'm a little bit like more reserved, I think so, you know, like not with my family. With my family, it's like, hey, how are you? Hola a todos. Hola a todos and stuff. But but when I'm on the street and stuff, it's just like people then like in Mexico, of course, like approach to you, and it's just like you're like friendly, like, hey, how are you? Hey, can I talk to you or something? And then it's for me just like then it became a little bit like more weird now. I feel like, what are you doing?
Well, I was thinking about that too with the personal space, and you were telling me earlier about like when you're on the trains. And like in Sweden, there's like an organization and a structure to how you sit on the trains. Like I take the Roslagsbanan into town every day on my way to work, and there's like groups of like 4 seats, and it's always like if there's nobody sitting in a booth, you always sit in the empty booth. You never sit in another booth where somebody else is sitting unless there is no empty booths, then you have no choice. And then there's like an organizational system where like you sit diagonally across from the person, so you're not like sitting directly in front of them or next to them. So then all the booths fill up with like 2 people. They're like diagonally across from each other, and then it starts to get awkward when you're like that third person that has to like come in, because then you have to sit next to somebody, which is like, that's a little bit like an icebreaker in Sweden. and then like finally it's like the fourth seat. So it's like the little organizational system of like how you actually sit next to people. It's like it would be weird if it was like there was an open booth over there and then you come up and sit next to them.
Yeah, it's really weird actually here, and I really don't want to disturb like here, you know, the people. So I'm just like, if I know that there's like people sitting here, I'm just go to the other seat, you know, the free seat there, because I really don't want to disturb anybody here. I'm
exactly.
Like, yeah,
it's like the typical, it's the typical Stockholm thing to like put the AirPods in or headphones,
right.
and you're just like zoning out in your space. And I think like I do that as well now. Like when people like, even if like people want to come up and say hi to me, it's like I got my headphones in, and it's like I'm like not paying attention to my surroundings as much, and you just get lost in your own little world. And I think that does make it like harder to meet people in Sweden in general. But I always say that when you do actually get to know the Swedish people, they're amazing. But it's just hard in the beginning.
Exactly.
And I think that I've actually changed as a person a little bit being in this environment for so long.
They're really nice people for sure. When you get to know them, actually, like they open up a little bit more, and they are really, really nice people for sure.
Now we're gonna hop to point number 2. Michelle, what you got for us?
Exactly. No, that I have became. Is it become or became? Oh my God, my Spanglish.
Spanglish.
No, like,
we got Swinglish in this video. We got
Spanglish. We have everything.
She's teaching me Spanish. We're both speaking Swedish. Like when we hang out, it's like a mix of like Swedish.
Sorry for my
English,
Spanglish right now. You know, like I have become. So I have become a little like more independent as well. Yeah, I love like my personal space. I love to be by myself. And also, for example, I actually didn't do that like before, but now when I arrived to Sweden, I actually like appreciate just to walk and just like be by myself, you know, listen to my music and just walk around. It's so nice. And I know that people here, of course, Swedes actually they don't approach to you, so that's cool because I really want to be by myself sometimes, you know.
Enjoy your quiet time.
Exactly.
It's a very peaceful country, I would say. I mean, even Stockholm being the biggest city in Sweden, it's not really, really crazy. I mean, as far as Sweden goes, it's like the hustle bustle compared to other places, but like many parts of Sweden, there's a lot of nature, trees, forest, very peaceful, calm way of life. People are very respectful, quiet, so you maybe do get a lot more personal space and quiet time, and makes it easier and more enjoyable to be independent. For my next point, I'm going to say that Sweden has also made me a little bit more independent in the way that it works with like public transportation and stuff, because in America you really have to drive everywhere. The public transportation is really terrible unless you're in like New York or San Francisco or one of those extremely dense cities. But where I'm from, you really had to take the car everywhere. So in Sweden, I think I actually go out more and do more things because I'm not necessarily reliant on my car, especially if I want to go into town and have drinks and stuff. I don't have to worry about driving afterwards, which is great in Sweden. They're really good about not drinking and driving. The limit's much lower than America, where in America people might have a beer or two and still drive home and it's completely legal and it's okay, whereas they're much more strict on that here in Sweden. But because the public transportation is so good, I mean, I live in Täby. I don't even live in the city center, but I can still... Don't make me jealous. I love it up here too, but it just goes to show that even not living in the city center, it's very, very easy to get around. I can go from the north end of the city to the south end of the city in 30 minutes, which is just crazy. Anywhere I need to go, I always feel like it's very, very easy to get around, and having that does make you more independent and less reliant, and I think that's one reason why I go out more here in Sweden than I do in America, because in America I didn't really party that much at all.
Right, okay.
And I definitely think like a lot of my friends and stuff here, we like to go out Friday, Saturday nights and maybe grab a beer in town after work, like those sorts of things. And I think because the public transportation is so great, it makes it much easier to do that.
Yeah, and they use a lot of like bicycles and stuff. I love to see people, you know, like relaxing and just going with the bicycles.
Oh yeah, or the scooters.
Town.
The scooters are everywhere here.
Yeah,
everywhere. It's crazy.
So nice to see them. Like, you know, mostly during the summer here, they're always like in the bicycles and scooters. Yeah. So nice, actually. Yeah, I have to buy a bicycle next year for sure.
Ooh,
for the summer. Yeah.
Or just a scooter. Scooter life. That's where it's at.
True.
All right, point number 3 for me is I'm going to say that Sweden has made me more fascinated and interested in different cultures. Now, I think that Swedes in general really enjoy traveling and experiencing different places, and I always had that passion of doing that, and coming to Europe, everything was so much closer. And I really thought of this actually the other day. I was watching a Yes Theory video where they had a Swedish guy, they were basically taking 2 strangers and making them switch houses for like a week. It was like part of their challenge.
Okay.
And one person was in Stockholm, because the guy that's on yesterday is from Stockholm. And then they were basically going around Stockholm looking for a stranger that wanted to go switch places with somebody in Austin, Texas for a few days.
Okay.
The first Swede they talked to was like, oh, free ticket to America? Sure, I'll come. Like, I'll cancel work. And he just like flew right away. And like he was so opening to just going off and traveling and experiencing something new. And on the flip side, when they were in Texas looking for somebody, they were looking all day to find somebody that was willing to come and switch places. And it was so much harder for them to find somebody, which was shocking to me, but it kind of makes sense because in America, for example, there's a lot of people that don't even have passports. I mean, America's such a big country, people do not travel as much. It's much less common, whereas in Sweden, I think people are very open-minded about other cultures. They travel a ton. I mean, all the Swedes I meet, they've been to all these countries. They go to Thailand in the wintertime. They go all over Europe. I mean, as an American, I've now been to 11 countries, which I'm very proud of, and that I've had those experiences, and I feel very fortunate, which as an American, I feel like that's a pretty high number.
You have traveled a lot, for sure, around Europe.
Yeah, but that's only in the last 2 years. Before I moved to Sweden, I was like 21 years old, and I'd only been to 3 countries in my entire life. Mm-hmm. Most 21-year-olds in Sweden have been to more than 3 countries. I can confidently say that, and I just think that goes to show that Swedes are very open-minded about other cultures, and they travel much, much more than people in America.
And also, like, living here in Stockholm is like really multicultural. There are like a lot of people from everywhere, and I love it actually. You know, I really love to meet people from other countries, and for me, for example, I have traveled more here around Europe because of course there are like a lot of good deals from Sweden, especially like to Spain or to Thailand, but everybody goes there, and it's crazy, really, like the deals here are really good, so it's just so cheap, you know. I just book like a ticket for the weekend and then you just go. Much
easier to go experience Europe from Sweden than from Mexico.
All right, for sure.
It's a much longer flight. So for us not being from Europe, it's definitely nice to take advantage of those opportunities.
Of course, exactly. Yeah, no, going to Mexico is just like really expensive actually there.
I know. My parents and stuff are always wanting me to fly home and stuff, and it's like it's not something I can just do for a weekend. Like I have to like really plan it. Like it's a long journey.
And also, if you go, actually, I mean, if I go to Mexico, I have to go at least like I don't know, like 2 weeks. Or 3 weeks, you know, for sure, because it's not worth it to just go for a weekend.
Yeah, if you go for a week, it's like 12 hours on a plane, and then you're like jet lagged the whole time, and you're sleeping when everybody else is awake, and then like you fly back the next week. It just makes no sense. So when we go home, we want to make like a longer trip out of it so that it's worth it.
I miss Mexico.
Just booked my tickets to the U.S. this winter. So
I have to do the same. Oh my God, I have to do to go to Mexico for sure. Point number 4. Actually, now talking about like Mexico, the thing is that after 3 years here, I have stopped eating spicy food, and I love spicy food for sure. But here in Sweden, like the culture, like the food culture, is it called like that? The food culture is not like they are not used to eat spicy food. So I mean, I stop it like for sure, and I don't feel like a real Mexican.
Well, I noticed the difference too with like jalapenos here. Like they say jalapenos, but they're like not actual jalapenos. Because when you're in America and you have a jalapeno, it's really, really spicy.
All right.
And here it's like they get them on like the kebab pizza and stuff.
All right.
And they're not spicy at all. Like
No.
I remember when I was working as a teacher in a school, and my kids put like 10 jalapenos on their plate. And I'm like, these kids are crazy. These are like 4th graders. And they're eating 10 jalapenos. I wouldn't even eat one of those things in America. And then I ate one. I was like, oh, these aren't spicy at all.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So I think there's a huge difference between the amount of spiciness that people are used to here and
that's
where
why
we're from.
the thing is like every time I miss like spicy food, I just go for it, you know, to eat tacos, and it's just like I just put like I go crazy with the salsa and the sauce. I just put a lot, like, oh my God, I need spicy food right now.
I do love spicy food.
Yeah, and also you know that they have like the Swedish tacos here, the Fredas.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Okay,
Fredas mix.
Swedish tacos are way different than Mexican tacos.
So different.
I'm sorry, Swedes. they're not as good. Mexican tacos.
Yeah.
Are you going to defend the Swedish tacos?
No. The thing is that,
Mexican,
no, wait. No. I'm not gonna defend that, but I'm just gonna say that it's just another kind of food.
It is
it's
another
not
kind of
tacos. That for me, those are not tacos. Those are just like
Yeah.
another kind of food, but I like it.
It's
anyway.
good.
It's
like,
good.
I'm not a picky eater. I
But
love
those are not tacos.
food in general.
Yeah, no, but
But
those are not
like a
tacos.
good, authentic Mexican taco is just, that is like the holy grail for me.
Oh, exactly.
And it's really not the easiest to find really good Mexican food in Sweden. If you guys have been following me on Instagram, you saw that there was a week that I went to like a different Mexican restaurant.
yeah.
Every single like day of the week, people are like, why is he eating Mexican food every day? And actually, there are a few really good restaurants here. La Neta, I really love. The prices aren't like extremely crazy, and the food is pretty authentic, I would say.
Do you think it's expensive or not?
No,
there?
no, it's not too
It's actually
expensive.
really good prices
Yeah.
as well there.
So
Yeah.
if you're in Stockholm and you want good Mexican food, I would say La Neta would definitely be good. I actually made a vlog about it before, and I was surprised
Me too.
when I experienced it for the
Yeah.
first time. I was like, wow,
Right.
actually pretty good. So it's not as good as the amazing Mexican places
No,
that I'm used to
of
back
course
home. I'm
not.
sure you can relate to that. But for Stockholm, La Neta,
But it's good enough.
it's definitely good enough.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
good enough for sure. Like every time I really want tacos and stuff, I go to that place. But also there are actually like opening more new places, Mexican places, like Chelas, I think so.
Yeah.
There's another one.
One by Horns Told, Chelas. Pretty good enchiladas.
You have been there,
Yeah.
so yeah. Oh, they have enchiladas there?
Yeah.
All right.
That's like their thing.
Have to go there.
You
Oh
gotta
my
try
God.
that.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
exactly.
I want to like take real Mexicans to these places so I know if it's good because like
I have to go there and just really see
Yeah.
if it's really Mexican.
yeah,
I don't know if it's actually good or not.
I thought it was good.
Well, for you, I think it's okay, you know. But if I go there, maybe I'm gonna be like, or maybe I will
All right.
like it. I
Well,
don't
the
know.
jury's still out until she tries it.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I actually stopped eating spicy food, but when I do, I just go crazy.
Oh,
Of course, with the
yes.
salsa, the jalapenos, and everything.
I'll tell you what I go crazy with my fourth point is the amount of coffee that I've been drinking.
All right.
Now, in Sweden, people go crazy with the amount of coffee. Like, I've always liked coffee, and where I come from in America, the Pacific Northwest, we're really known for good coffee. I mean, you've got Starbucks from Seattle, Seattle's Best from Seattle, Stumptown Coffee from Portland, a lot of just really, really good coffee from the Pacific Northwest. We're kind of known for that. But you guys in Sweden, you guys take coffee to a completely different level. Like, people at work, like, they'll have like 7 cups of coffee throughout the day.
Hashtag fika.
Hashtag fika. Like, that is just insane to me. I've definitely drank a little bit more coffee because it's just like free coffee at work. People are just making
Right.
coffee all the time. And people always ask me in the morning, like, you want coffee? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to say no. Like,
Oh yeah.
I
true.
mean, I sometimes I'll like just go a week without drinking coffee just to try to like reset the system because I don't know if it's healthy. Like, coffee is freaking addictive. Like, I'm having withdrawals. Like, I haven't had coffee in a while, so I'm like
Yeah.
having issues here. But yeah, it's crazy. And in Sweden, people drink black coffee, and in America, that's something that I never did. I love my coffee with like the syrups and the creamers and all the fancy sugary stuff. Like, oh, like a good sugar-filled caffeine rush of coffee, like Starbucks syrup, like everything in there. I love that, but now, like, I actually can appreciate a good cup of black coffee as well, which I would have never enjoyed before moving to Sweden.
All right. Oh my God, you have to go to Mexico. We have really good coffee there.
Ooh.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mexico.
Like grandmas do, you know, like really nice
Grandma's coffee.
Exactly.
That sounds amazing.
So nice, exactly.
Point number 5 for me is I think that I have changed the way that I've dressed since moving to Sweden. And I think it's actually kind of obvious when I look back at what I used to wear when I was in high school. I mean, I was like a pretty athletic guy and I kind of embraced the jock life of wearing like basketball shorts and
Right.
sweatpants to school pretty much every day. Like if I was wearing jeans in America, I was dressing up. Like jeans was pretty fancy for me back in the US. But here in Sweden, I've really taken my style to the next level. And I think that's because like people that I surround myself with here, everybody in Sweden, they dress so nice and like people at work and everything. And if I were to not be dressing nice, I think I would definitely stand out because everybody just looks so amazing here. People really care about their appearance. And so it's actually been really, really good for my style. And that's why I want to bring up the sponsor of today's video. I've gotten so many questions about these pants that I ordered from this website. I absolutely love these pants. They're extremely stretchy. Like, these are pants that you can like wear to the gym and work out in. It's great. Like, it's like the male version of yoga pants, but they're like dress pants. Like, you can go do squats in them at the gym. You can like go for a run, and then you can like show up at the office and you're wearing like completely dress pants. And the best part is you can get 2 pairs of these for only 700 crowns. I mean, that is just insane to me. I love these pants so much that I reached out to them on Instagram, and they agreed to work with me to do a sponsored video. So if you are looking for some amazingly comfortable, amazingly stylish pants, you can check them out in the link below in the description. I absolutely love these bad boys. I wear them pretty much every day of the week now, and I just feel like I look extremely stylish. They've definitely helped take my style to the next level. So if you're living in Sweden, they're definitely worth checking out.
For my number 5, I'm gonna talk about the language also, because I know Swedish. I speak Swedish now, but now, for example, that I'm studying in Swedish, it's a little bit hard, because of course, like, when you speak another language, like, you become a little bit more quiet. Well, in my case, I have become a little bit more quiet than I usually am. And I don't know. It's just a matter of time, I think so, and just to adapt a little bit more with the language and feel a little bit more comfortable. But the same as you, right? You have become a little bit.
Well, I was extremely impressed with her Swedish, because when we met for the first time, that was during my month of only speaking Swedish.
Right.
And we had spoken like English and stuff over texts. And then when we hung out, like, I dropped this bomb on her.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I'm only speaking Swedish this month,
like,
so
whoa,
you're just going to have to suck it up.
Yeah.
And we talked like pretty much the whole night in Swedish. I mean, we did switch to English at one point, because we're like, all right, this is our first time hanging out. Let's speak a language that we're just both a little bit more comfortable with. But like the first 3 hours or something, it was like only Swedish, which was like crazy.
But it was
impressive.
good, I mean, it was good because you have to really practice, and then you have to really like go for it, like with the language.
And for me, I feel like my month of speaking only Swedish made me much more confident and much more just feeling good about my Swedish. But even after that entire month, I definitely understand what you're saying. Like, it's so much easier to express yourself in your native language. I feel much more comfortable. I feel like I have more personality. I can joke around more. It's just, everything just flows much more quickly. So that is something where, even though I feel like my Swedish is fluent now, and I only speak Swedish at work pretty much, because I want to stay sharp and keep it good, but I do just really appreciate, and I feel really lucky to live in a country where everybody speaks such amazing English. Because
they speak really good English, for sure.
I feel like it's something that we all kind of take for granted living in this place. And for me, it was always important to speak Swedish and be able to be fully confident with that. But I also really appreciate the fact that I can speak English, because having that level of comfort is just so much higher in English. Even after learning Swedish, it's still different.
Right. And for me, what happened with languages now, because now I speak Swedish and English, I try, and Spanish. So every time like I try to just focus on one language, then I'm just like confusing and mixing everything, just like, it's crazy now. It's like, my head is just like
crazy. And when you throwing a third language into the mix definitely makes it much tougher, because before I moved to Sweden, I had a pretty good grasp of German, which I think really helped when I was learning Swedish, that I spoke so much German. But now when I try to speak German, I mix in Swedish all the time, because a lot of the vocabulary and grammar is very similar between German and Swedish. And so it can be really, really tough, mixing up the languages. So I totally see what you're saying. Yeah,
I mean, it's quite hard. But I mean, it's cool, because we're learning new languages. I mean, it's really nice.
Definitely.
Now I'm actually like teaching him like Spanish, so that's good.
Está muy bien.
Está muy bueno. We're trying. We're trying. Don't judge.
I've only been working on it for a week, so
exactly.
Give me some credit here.
Yeah, give him some beers and then he will be fine.
Más cervezas.
Más cerveza, por favor.
Cervezas.
Exactly, cool. No, but exactly. That happened with the language thing.
Yes. So now we've each given you 5 points, but we want to go the extra mile for you guys and give you one more bonus point that we just thought of. We always go the extra mile here. Where did that come from? Okay. All right. But all right, we'll give you a little bonus one because you guys have stuck around for this long. My bonus one is going to be that living in Sweden, I've really come to appreciate when the weather is nice. Because living in a country where the summers are very long and beautiful, and the summer's days are long and beautiful, and very nice weather and everything, it really makes you appreciate those times. And for those of you that have followed me on my channel for a while, you know that cold weather are absolute inte min grej. It's not my thing. But it really has made me appreciate when the weather is nice, and I think that's just something that I've come to appreciate. And I also feel like I've become very more typical Swedish in the way that like the weather is like a conversation topic.
Right, yeah. But it's like really Swedish, you know? That's so Swedish. Yeah.
To talk about how the weather is such a Swedish thing, because everything changes really fast here. And here we are filming this in October, and the thing that I notice is that the days change so quickly.
God. And the people also change a lot.
Yeah, I think that everybody's just a little bit more happy and friendly when it's sunny and everything. And I think for me, this is one of the harder parts of the year because you know what's coming up. You know that the long winter is awaiting. Yeah. And living in Portland and coming from Portland, we're still pretty far up north from the equator, but nowhere near as far north as Sweden is. So even though we might get, you know, pretty much shorter days in the winter, it's not nearly the same as Sweden. And so you don't notice the difference from day to day as much.
No,
whereas in Sweden, every week that goes by, it's a very, very noticeable change. It seemed like just a month ago, it was light until like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And now it's 6 p.m. and we had to like get lights to film this video because normally I film with the natural daylight.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how fast it changes.
Yeah.
And we're only halfway into the cycle of the days getting shorter because they keep getting shorter all the way up until December 21st. Before they start to get longer again. And we haven't even hit daylight savings.
No, exactly.
Oh, that is the word when you have daylight savings and then you like lose an hour in the evenings. But yeah, so with that being said, I want to end it on a positive note. I appreciate when the weather is nice, and living in Sweden has definitely made me appreciate that.
Seriously, like the Swedish summer is just the best.
Oh,
I mean, it's amazing. Actually, I don't know, there is like a lot of people that fly from Sweden to another place during the summer, of course, because it's holidays and stuff. Yeah. But I prefer to stay here. Yeah. For sure. I mean, I love the Swedish summer.
I don't get that. Why do people leave Sweden?
Exactly. No, me neither. I'm like, what?
Why?
Just stay here.
That makes no sense.
So cool.
Take your vacation days in January.
Really? Seriously, yeah, exactly.
Go somewhere else.
Right. My last point then, it's about that I appreciate more my friends, the new people that I meet, actually. Like, it's not that I didn't appreciate it before in Mexico.
I never appreciated those people.
I never appreciate those people. Who are they now? No. I appreciate really like the new people that I meet here and they become my friends because I know it's hard to be an expat and it's hard to be living abroad actually. So definitely. Yeah, so when you meet people from other countries living here in Sweden, it's so cool because you can share experiences and then I mean it's really nice because definitely. You understand each other more.
Definitely. And I'm somebody that's very fascinated in other cultures, so meeting people from other countries with different experiences, especially who have come to Sweden as well, it's very, very nice to meet those people. And I would say the best part of this whole experience of living abroad for me personally has been the people that I've met along the way, both Swedish, expats, everybody. I mean, the friendships and the people that I've met here in Sweden have been really, really good. There's so many quality, amazing people in this country.
Yeah.
And I think that is just like the best, amazing, positive note that we can end this video on because the people here.
Exactly. So yeah, true.
So with that, guys, be sure to press that like button. If you did like this video, it really helps out. And leave a comment down below because I think this stuff is super interesting with the Swedish culture. And I'm curious to see what you guys think. Have we become more Swedish as we've been living here? And then also press that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. I'm coming out with a podcast with my roommate soon, which will be in Swedish. If you guys want to check that out, those will be on the channel as well. And then I'll have Michelle's channel, which is in Spanish with some subtitles, so that you guys can get some more Swedish information over there.
Exactly.
But with that being said, guys, we will see you in another video.
Woo! Adios.
Hej då.
Hej då.